All right, hey, look, there we are. It's me, John Park, and welcome to John Park's Workshop. Seamless transition from audio to this, right? Oh, let me turn off my echo. Not so seamless. Yeah, I can't monitor it that way through external speakers when I'm talking. So here we are. Thank you for coming by. We've got some fun stuff in store for you today, for all of us, really. I think we're all going to enjoy this. That is my promise to you, is that I will try to deliver some enjoyable workshop fun and activities. Hello to people in the chat. Thanks for stopping by the Discord chat and the YouTube chat. Keeping my eye on those. Chalkers over in the YouTube chat said, so excited for this hardware to be released. Yes, so we've been teasing the PyPortal, and that's what our main project today is going to use, the PyPortal. So I don't know when exactly it's going to be for sale, but it is soon-ish, right? We're well on the way, I believe, towards bringing those. We just have a few right now that some people are using for testing, but soon we'll have the real stuff. So look forward to that. So hey, let's take care of a couple of administrative things, shall we? Look at this. Look what we have. We have a Help Wanted sign up. This is the jobs board. Head to jobs.adafruit.com if you're looking for work or if you're looking to hire someone. The jobs board is completely free, and you can post a position if you have one, looking to hire somebody, or you can post your resume and skill set if you're looking to get some work. So check out the job board, won't you? Jobs.adafruit.com. I believe it is the maybe the only free maker jobs board out there for makery type jobs. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I've been told. So what else have we got? We've got a coupon for you. Yes, we have a coupon, and that coupon for today is going to get you 10% off in the Adafruit store. It is good today until midnight East Coast time, and it is Raven. That will get you 10% off in the Adafruit store on anything you want to buy other than gift certificates, subscriptions, and software. So have a look at the new products, or maybe restock on some old ones or some supplies. Raven will get you 10% off in the store. And if you are looking for a suggestion on something, my product of the week this week is this lovely guy. It is the 7-inch 720p IPS display with HDMI. So if you're looking for a little display to use on things like Raspberry Pi projects, I've got one right here. This is one I'm using for game stuff. So I'll give you actually a little preview of our project that we're going to do today in the Make Code Minute arcade. Let me move this so it's not so crooked. That's bugging me. There we go. So you can see this monitor, one of the things I really like about it is it has a 1/4-20 mount for tripods and other camera accessories, as well as, you can see here, this is a mount that can be stuck to things. It has a foam sticker adhesive, and it's adjustable with some détentes in it. It'll click into place, and you can also use VESA mounts on the back to screw it into standard displays, display adapters. So this has, if you look on this side, it's got HDMI as well as VGA and a composite in and audio. So it's pretty versatile. It's not just HDMI. And what I have it hooked up to right now is this Raspberry Pi Zero, which is dwarfed by all the cables plugged into it. So this is plugged into power on one of the USB slots. And interesting thing is this display has a USB port on it. So I'm actually using that to power my Pi. So there's one 9-volt adapter going to the wall, DC adapter, to power this display. It's got a speaker built in, so you'll see here when I run across a power-up, we get some sound effects running over the little speakers on here. And, oh, yeah! So I've got Adabot running around eating ice cream and apples. They're both power-ups. There are no enemies. There's nothing bad you can do. You just eat. So that is my product of the week because I actually don't have HDMI ins on the monitors I use for whatever reason with my computer, and I don't actually want to switch over. I want to be developing code and then have a small display that I can test stuff on. This one is great for that. 7-inch display, IPS, has some very nice broad viewing angles, really nice resolution on it. It's what's 720p? 1280 by 800? Is that right? Yeah, 1280 by 800 IPS display. So that's the product of the week. That guy right there. Hey, where'd he go? I just broke him. There he is. There he's back. So can be used with things other than Raspberry Pi. It's also good for stuff like retro gaming if you have gaming setups that are Raspberry Pi based, or even old consoles if you can plug them in through VGA or through an HDMI adapter. So there you go. Check it out. Let's see. Oh, Mr. Certainly over in the Discord chat said he has a totally awesome display. Is it this one or one of the other ones? Looks like a similar one. I know we have a couple that are similar. So the one with speakers, that's the one we're looking at here today, right? And then there's one without speakers. Yeah. So $10 more, you get the one with the speaker in it, I think. It's a good deal. So, you know what? I've just hinted at the game here, so let's take a look at this. Yeah, that's right. It's the Make Code Minute. So today what we're going to look at in Arcade is tile maps. Now, up until now, what we've done is created games where the gameplay is limited to the screen. When you want to make a game level that is larger than one screen, so you can move around to different areas, you will use a thing called a tile map. So you can see here in my code, after I set the background color here to this blue, I'm then setting a tile map. And if we look at the art for this, this is the view of my game level. And these colors mean things. So what I've done is anywhere that I've gone in and painted in orange is where tiles that represent my walls are going to appear. If you look at this next block down, I have set orange tiles, and then I've created a little graphic, so that's what my walls will look like. And I've also told it to have collision turned on by saying turn with walls on. So if we look at the game, I'm going to make this full screen, you can see that my character can't go through these walls because they're called walls, and it's tiling that little pattern all over anywhere where I had put my orange marks. Now, another thing you'll notice is that I am moving around the map, and the camera is following the character. So if we go back and look at the code, I have this block here that says camera follow sprite, and then I name a sprite. I'm calling it to follow Adabot. And the last thing I'm using this map for, if you look, you'll see I have these black and red blocks on here. Now, those don't show up visibly in the game level, and that's because with these set tile blocks, I have not given them any graphic at all. But what I'm doing is using those spots to indicate where my power-ups go. So when the ice cream or apples have to go somewhere after I've picked one, it randomly jumps to a location. What I'm doing is telling them to randomly go to one of the tiles. So place apple on top of a random red tile and place ice cream on top of a random black tile. And so that is how you can use the tile map to create your game level inside Arcade. All right, yeah, so pretty cool. Now, I'm not using this as a platformer just yet, but you can see that by having this collision detection, you can create your game level and you can make it larger than a game screen. So we're starting to get to something a little more sophisticated than just the one screen type of game, but we're doing it with really high level, easy to use code, which is one of the great hallmarks of MakeCode and MakeCode Arcade. So I think it's a lot of fun to build stuff with it. You'll also notice something I didn't have time to mention, but since we looked at effects last week, one thing I'm doing is when my character hits a power-up, I'm setting some little effects. So I have my Adabot with a hearts effect, and the ice cream has a little confetti effect. I think I have the same one on the apple. But since it jumps somewhere random, we might not get to see it. So that is some of the other extra stuff. You'll also notice something I'm doing in here now is instead of making my onStart block contain tons and tons of code, I have broken this program up into some separate functions. So I create my Adabot as a function, I create my ice cream as a function, and I create my apple as a function, and even the level as a function, and then I call those here, which just helps organizationally, keeping from having a mess. Hey, look, over on Discord, there's a inception moment of a mirror inside of a mirror with Mr. Certainly showing his little display on a tripod in front of a monitor, watching this show right here. I also saw FX Music. Hello, welcome. FX showed up over in the chat. So also over in YouTube, Adam Bryant asked about the display having a menu for picture adjustment. It does. So let me hide this MakeCode stuff. If you look there, this is all your standard picture overscan, scaling, color, ratio, things like that. And it has multiple inputs that you can select. And you can see here, I've got the MakeCode Arcade running off of the Pi. This is actually pretty cool. We have a guide or two about MakeCode Arcade that talk about using it with Raspberry Pi. And if you do, you'll notice I have a USB cable going for power, which is this far left one, but I also have a USB cable connected to my computer, and the firmware that's running on this Raspberry Pi is the MakeCode Arcade firmware that you'll find in the guide. It actually works with the UF2 files as a flash drive. So it shows up on your computer as a flash drive called Arcade, and you can simply drag new code right onto it, and it immediately reboots, and you can play it on your screen here for testing. So it's a very fast development cycle, which I like a lot. All right, let's see. Other questions someone had. Oh, also Adam Bryant mentioned remote display for cameras. Yeah, this one here, I think maybe the Ruiz brothers use one of these mounted on top of a DSLR. Since it has that 1/4-20 mount there, you can screw it onto the top of a camera, like a larger camera, into the hot shoe mount, which is pretty cool, and then use it as a larger display or a forward-facing display if you're trying to use it for video and look down the barrel of the lens. So, all right, well, I think it's a good time then to talk about our project of the week. So I actually have right here the project on the down shooter, and it's not plugged in right now, but I just wanted to show you. So what we're working with here is the PyPortal. This is kind of an early beta-ish unit in purple. The PyPortal has the TFT screen here, resistive touch TFT screen that's 3.2 inches, and it's 320 by 240 pixels. It's got a AT-SAMD51 Cortex-M4 chip on it, as well as this ESP32, which essentially is the Wi-Fi coprocessor. So that leaves the main chip free to do all of its running the whole rest of the board, and in the case of the project here, I'm running CircuitPython, so we've got enough speed, enough space on there to run CircuitPython, but we don't also want to be dealing with the Wi-Fi, so that's why this has the ESP32 as this coprocessor for doing all of the network connection. It's also got a light sensor on it, a temperature sensor, an SD card, 8 megs of flash, some ports here on the side for SPI connections to other or rather, it's a JST. It's a JST, right? JST connection to, could be SPI stuff, could be UART stuff, could be just getting voltage over it. And since it comes bare, I wanted to put it inside of a case so that we could use it as this quote machine. So first thing I'll do is let's jump over to the workbench and I'll just show you kind of how I went about developing the case for it. So let me give you a how about a top view there and a little overhead view. And let me jump over to the workbench and we'll have a look at that. And let's also turn on chat there. So I gotta pause this or I'll go bonkers. All right, so you can see, let's go to actually full workbench. What I started with originally was a hollowed out book. So this is a hollowed out book I had already made for a project a while ago, back when we were doing AdaBox 7 and doing the spy themed stuff. It's kind of blown out. Let me try to, uh-oh. That camera doesn't want me messing with it. All right, I won't screw it up. So I had taken a book and cut through about, what, a third of the pages and put a little felt lining there. And I was storing a phone in there. For this, what I did was I lined up my PyPortal and just cut out a hole a little smaller than the screen so it would act as a frame, and then drilled out some holes for the screw mounts on here that take M3 screws. Placed it into the back there. So that worked pretty well, but I decided for the sake of the guide and the project to make it a little bit easier. And so what I'm recommending is if you want to build this, head to a craft store or look online for a book box or a book safe. I'll zoom in on these. So these come in all kinds of styles and sizes and themes. What you want is one that's made out of cardboard or wood or some fiberboard of some kind. And a small size, you know, about 4 inches would be tall enough to fit the board. And this means that you're not going to have to go hollow out the book, but you get kind of this nice look. Like I said, I got ones that were in this playing card theme, and I believe these were maybe $6 a piece or something like that, pretty inexpensive. But you can get them that look like all kinds of different books. So this, to do this a little more neatly than my prototype, what I wanted to do is take a file which Phil B had prepared for laser cutting a proper case for the PyPortal, and I just printed it out on a laser printer and cut this out as a template. So then we can use some tape, stick this here, and just draw with a marker some lines to go and cut. And so I just ended up using a box cutter like this and a straight edge once I had those lines transferred there. And what you'll do is essentially cut multiple shallow cuts so you're not having to really dig in there, because this stuff is a little bit flexible and it kind of wants to grab the blade. So just by being patient with it, I got the hole cut out, and then I used one of my trusty Yankee screwdriver reamers to punch some holes there for the M3 screws. So let me go grab the finished one. I don't have multiple PyPortals to work with. Usually, you know, I like to be able to do this cooking show style and show a finished version and an in-process version. But what we'll do instead is we'll take this one apart. So what I have on here are just some 10mm long M3 screws and nuts. And those go through those mounting tabs pretty nicely. Let me get zoomed in even closer for you. And I'll pull this off. Okay, so there's that's what our box looks like after cutting through it. It even has this faux cork. This is, I think, vinyl, but it looks like cork in there. And so this is a little bit smaller than the screen, which means it supports it in there pretty nicely. And like I said, these are the M3 screws that fit this. Now, we have the USB port to worry about here. So what I wanted to do is be able to, I thought about using this kind of like a frame and having it held open at an angle. But I decided it would be nice to be able to close it fully if I wanted to. And you could also run this from a battery. Actually, the Ruiz brothers have a nice guide, I think, coming on using battery power. Or maybe they've done one already, but I know they've been doing some LiPo battery powering of their PyPortal that they have. So if you had a need for a mobile quote book, that would be a way to do it. And so what I did was, since, like I said, we had the USB cable to be concerned with, I plugged this in to power it up and then marked off where this is going to intersect with the border here and just used a chisel to chisel this out. This is actually, again, some sort of like an MDF type of paperboard fiber glue stuff, so it doesn't chisel out too neatly, but neatly enough, and now I'm able to close that fully on there, and I have my device displayed. So that's the sort of hardware side of it. Now the software we'll get into. Let's see if we can get this to boot up here while I talk about it. So right now the software that's running on here is some CircuitPython code and an early version of our PyPortal library. Oh, it's out of focus. Let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. So we got a Leonard Bernstein quote here: to achieve great things, two things are needed: a plan and not quite enough time. So the way this is working is the code on here is I don't have a database of quotes on here. I have this set every 20 seconds. It's going to change the quotes. But the way it's doing that is by connecting via a Wi-Fi base station. So I've given it my SSID and password for my Wi-Fi. And what this is doing is it's going on to the Adafruit quotes web page, so adafruit.com/quotes. If you go there, you're going to see a whole bunch of quotes. Those are the quotes we use to autofill the bottom of your order invoice. If you buy something from Adafruit, you get a printout that has a quote on it, and there's a few other places where we use these. So the way that works is there's a PHP script running at API/quotes.php that whenever it is queried, it serves up a new quote from the database. So let me set that over there and head over to the machine, and I'll show you what some of that code looks like and what that is returning. So, oh, there it's giving us a new quote, but we can't see it because it's out of focus. Sorry about that. So if you look at, let me switch over to this browser. Let's go to this one here. So this is the Adafruit's quote page. So this is the API/quotes.php. So when I go there, what it gives me, this is inside of Firefox, it has a little viewer that shows me what is returned. And in this case, it is JSON formatted data. And I can also look at that in a, this is a codify or codebeautify.org JSON viewer. So what I end up with, let's see if I can expand this, is, here we go, it's off screen a little bit, sorry. Two keys, two pairs of data. So I have this text key, and the answer to this in this case is perfect is the enemy of the good. And then I have this author key, and the answer to that is Voltaire. So if I look at my code in Atom over here, this is the Python script that's running on the PyPortal. So this is doing some imports of some libraries, including this temporary version of the PyPortal. And then we've set up our data source. So it's going to the adafruit.com API quotes.php. And then we're setting up two variables. There's the first key, which is going to be the text, and the second key, which is the author name. And then you can see it's a very simple, this is kind of a high-level command using PyPortal, which says look for this URL, which is the data source we defined. There's the path of the JSON, and then it is able to parse that and later return those as the value when we tell it to print. So inside of the while loop down here at the bottom, all we're doing is setting the value to go out, use PyPortal to fetch a new quote every, in this case I've got it set to 60 seconds, I think over there I have it every 20. And when it gets that return of those two keys, it uses those for this part of the display. So it's setting the position of the text for the quote location to be 20 on X and 40 on Y, and it's setting the author location further left, so that's 5 on X, and down at the bottom 190. And then we're able to define a couple of different colors for those, as well as the text wrap, the maximum length of the text. And we're using bitmap fonts, so you can't go and change that dynamically, but we're pointing at this version of Arial here, this 17-point Arial that we're using. So that is how the thing works. Let me grab this one back here. And one other thing I'll show you is, I'm going to unplug this USB. If I go to the overhead camera here, you'll have to pardon the glare there, but I'm going to plug this in. You'll see it's going to take it a moment to boot up and find the base station. Actually, I think this is right now set for the in my house and not in the workshop. But okay, the colors are looking kind of funky there. But you can see it's thrown a bitmap up. There it goes, rebooting. So that's the bitmap I've specified. That whole background image there is a 320 by 240 BMP, 8-bit per channel. And what it's doing right now, if I pull up Moo, is restart that. Oh, I think it's connected to the wrong thing. It's connecting to my camera switcher. Try that again. So you can see here, can I make that text bigger? Yeah. It is booting up, initializing the ESP32, setting the background color or image to this quote background BMP, and we're preloading the font so it's ready to go. And now it's trying to connect to my access point, and we'll see if it connects right away. Sometimes this will take a couple tries for it to find it, especially if the signal's weak. Yeah, so there it is, not finding it. By the way, there's a separate settings file which contains the SSID and the password, so you can see this is not included in this one because we don't want people accidentally sharing that info. So there's a second file on the device that contains that info. But you can see right now I've got it where it's just blank until it finds the quote. There are also actually, there's a fairly simple hack we can do to place local text on it with a file called local.txt. And that will override the quotes that it looks for out on the web, so you can have it throw something up on the screen for you even if you're not connected. So let's see. I'm going to let that try to connect. Let me hide this Moo session. And there we go. We'll see if it manages in here. And let's see. So what you could do with this is go and find some other sources of JSON, and then you may need to change the quotes that are coming as JSON data. You may need to change some of the names of the keys you're looking for, but you can see that JSON data, whoops, you're looking at my workshop, is pretty clean, nice to work with compared to something like XML. Ooh, I think it has just connected, so it should display that in a second. I see that it just pulled in text just looking over in my moo session. So there you can see, it's pulling up a quote here. Oh, that one's a little too long for the screen. So we don't have anything that deals with that right now, but if you wanted to get industrious, you might be able to add some transforms to that or scrolling. I think that's in the works. I think maybe Scott Shawcroft is working on some of that. So, but I'm really excited. This is my first steps using PyPortal to build a project, and it has gone really easily, really smoothly. The work that's been done by the CircuitPython and PyPortal people is amazing and makes it very, very simple to work with, which is exciting because I think what we really want is for this to be one of your first IoT devices, and that allows you to easily do IoT types of things. And that's often very complicated, but I'm finding this to be pretty simple to work with, and it's also fun to go out there and look at the types of data that you can pull in with simple queries and then use to display or do other things on the PyPortal. So with that, I will take a look at any thoughts or questions people have. There's Mr. Certainly set up with the little display there. He's got it on a desktop tripod. Oh yeah, that is my whirligig fan on the top of the workshop spinning in the wind. I need to oil that. Thank you, Mr. Certainly, for getting it. Yes, Raven is the coupon code this week because quoth the Raven nevermore, and we've got the quote board up. So with that, I will be hanging out over in the Discord chat a little bit, but I want to thank everyone for coming by and joining me for John Park's workshop. There will be a guide coming soon, probably tomorrow, that will show you how to build this project, and then hopefully we'll be getting the hardware out there soon when it's ready to go, so you can pick one up and try this out. So without any more ado, that's not how you say that, I'm John Park. This is John Park's Workshop. Thank you for stopping by.